I'm Josh Frank, Managing Partner at RSM Federal and Strategic Advisor to the National Veteran Small Business Coalition. And I'm with Scott Semple, Senior Director for National Events at NVSBC. Scott, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Josh. And again, thanks for taking time today.
Oh, you betcha. Can you tell everyone who you are and what you do for NVSBC?
Absolutely. So I'm Scott Semple. As Josh said, I am the Senior Director for National Events at the National Veteran Small Business Coalition. This means that I help to coordinate our several national events, including what we're talking about today, our VETS conference, as well as our annual gala, our DC dinner series, and a number of other events. I'm also a serial entrepreneur like Josh. I own a small business that works in the federal small business and large business contracting environment.
Awesome. So, all right, we're talking today about the National Veterans Conference, or VETS. And if you're going to attend, how do you maximize the value while you're attending? My first VETS conference was, what, 2011? It was 13 years ago. And I don't think they do this today anymore, Scott, but it was at a casino, an actual casino in Reno, Nevada. When it comes to VETS, unlike many national conferences, hundreds of government buyers and decision makers, over 150 are going to be at VETS this year with how many of those are from the VA?
We'll probably have about 75 total attendees from the Veterans Administration. And that's a great point, Josh. We have a number of the top executives, as well as procurement decision makers, 1102s, contracting officers across the board. So the folks who attend from the VA are folks that are directly involved in your ability to bid and understand bids that are coming up in the near future.
Gotcha. And we know veterans have a unique skill set, right? VETS as a conference is designed to take advantage of these skill sets. And for those of you that are already registered or those that have not registered yet, industry is picky. If an event or a conference doesn't help your company grow, right? If it doesn't help grow your company, you don't go back. And, Scott, if you remember 10 years ago, there were 300 attendees, right? And then just a couple of years ago, there were 500. Last year was 1,100. And this year we're on pace for how many?
Around 2,000. And an important point there is last year sold out at 1,123 attendees. And heartbreaking number here, we had 400 on the wait list. Our facility just could not support them. So we've gone to a much bigger facility that'll accommodate over 2,000 attendees.
Excellent. All right. So let's take a quick commercial break. For those of you that have not yet registered for VETS, below this video, there is a link to register. And please don't wait to the last minute, because even though we're in a larger venue, there's still the possibility if you wait to the last minute, you're not going to be able to register. All right. So with that, let's start with some background. What is VETS and what makes it different from the other small business conferences that are out there in the market today?
As Josh said, this conference has a long history, and it's been a very successful conference ever since it was originated. In the past 4 years, we've taken a new direction. That new direction is to establish the VETS conference, the annual VETS conference, as the place that veterans, veteran small business owners that serve the federal government, large primes, and government agencies, all government agencies, not one government agency like some of the other conferences, all government agencies come to participate, share ideas, and most importantly, Josh, two important differences about our conference. Number one, this is a true training event. A lot of folks come out of military service, and they may have an MOS in nuclear engineering or in logistics. I don't know, to the best of my knowledge, no one comes out of service with a degree or any training in small business ownership or in sweating it out on Friday to make payroll every 2 weeks, right? Nobody has that background. Number one, the VETS conference is specifically architected, designed, built around the need to provide very point of impact training on how to grow your business, how to structure your business for growth, how to build your business, where to go. And we'll talk about the content. But number one, this is very different than any other conference that I'm aware of, probably that you're aware of. We're very, very focused on an actual curriculum that provides the attendees the ability in 4 days to come away changed with a significant level of knowledge about areas of their business. You know, we're talking about your business. Join the conversation. That's our theme this year. Well, we mean that. So number one, training. Number two, networking. You know, the reason that we have a lot of sessions, we have 36 breakout sessions. Why do we have all these sessions? Well, guess what? They're taught by domain experts who are government employees, who are large prime employees, who are veteran small business owners. Hey, this is what VETS2 is all about. This is what a GSA mass schedule is all about, right? These are the practitioners, okay? That's what's different. You are networking with the people that are your peers, that are your buyers, right? That are the primes that you want to subcontract to. Those two elements really make the VETS conference very different. Number one, training, and number two, networking.
Excellent. And, you know, I was looking at the website. One of the phrases I saw quite often was content rich, right? You know, are we referring to training? What are we referring to when we say content rich?
That's a great question, Josh, and one that I take with particular pride. So our VETS23 conference feedback forms gave us an average of 9.5 out of 10. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, wow.
On a couple of areas, right?
Okay.
Number one, a lot of folks said it was a very content-rich training experience, right? Content-rich meaning when you get into the session and the title is how to navigate the VA TAC, or how to understand GSA mass contracting, or what is this agency doing with supply chain? The person speaking at the front of the room, they own that program, right? That's sort of the definition of content rich. So the cool thing about the feedback forms was we got really high marks that the people teaching the program, the training classes, right, across the board, right, they were truly domain experts. I will put a plug in for RSM. A lot of people go to the RSM session, of which there will be several this year, right? They get opportunities to meet with people who do this for a living every day. That's content rich. We got really good marks on that.
So, all right. So from an industry perspective, yeah, we have the folks that with the best practices, you know, to help companies position in the market, win their contracts. What about from a government perspective? Like, I mean, I know who was there last year. Can you, I don't know if you can, but can you give us any names for senior, you know, VA, GSA, DoD, senior folks that are going to be attending, speaking, et cetera, at this year's?
Absolutely. And because this is a TSSCI rated podcast, just kidding, I'm happy to share some of the information about who's going to be here at our conference. Right?
Okay.
At this year's conference, we're delighted to once again have a strong presence from the Veterans Administration. Right, present from the Veterans Administration, we will have Mike Parrish, Chief Acquisition Officer, Phil Christie, Chris Parker, and let me toss out a new name, Jeff Neal. Jeff has newly taken over responsibility for the TAC, recently named as the interim director for the TAC. Here's an interesting.
What does TAC stand for again?
Great question. Technology Acquisition Center.
Okay.
So the VA under Phil Christie has 3 centers, acquisition centers: the TAC, the SAC, and the NAC. The TAC is Technology Acquisition Center. SAC is Strategic Acquisition Center. NAC is National Acquisition Center. TAC acquires all of the technology. So here's kind of an interesting thing. And if you're kind of on the fence about attending the VETS24 conference, this should knock you off and get you to sponsor right away. And that is, none of the 30 awardees under the T4NG2 recently awarded $60 billion award, none of them have had the opportunity to meet directly in person with Jeff Neal. Guess what?
Okay.
Jeff will be there. And I'm not talking about 1 hour in for an industry day or an APDI and then back out. No, Jeff will be in Orlando with us for breakfast, for lunch, for coffee breaks. He'll be given a couple of sessions. So he's there. From the SAC, we'll have Alan Smith and his entire team as well. We have a wide number of folks in the clinical care groups under Andrew Centineo, who Andrew will also be there with Joe Milletta on the VHA side and many of the VHA folks. So we're really covering the waterfront. And forgive me for not mentioning all of the folks, with 60 or 70 folks coming from the VA alone, you could spend the next 40 minutes on that. I don't want to do that.
And I know Laura, is it Laura Stanton? She's coming from GSA, isn't she?
So from the General Services Administration, right, we have Laura Stanton, who's the FAS director and is responsible for two things to mention, right? She is within GSA, in charge of FAS, and also, as you're aware, we have categories of category management. Category 3 of category management is IT. Laura Stanton is the category director for IT acquisition across the whole government.
And let's bring this full circle. So for those of you that are attending, or those of you that are currently not attending, but you're thinking about it, what we're walking through here is, and these names that are being thrown out, these names that Scott is throwing out, these are not just contracting officers in some building with some agency. We're talking very senior procurement decision makers, and many of them are bringing their teams with them. Part of business development is, collecting market intelligence, et cetera. We'll talk more of that in a minute, but you can literally get market intelligence and future teaming partners that would normally take you, what is it we say, Scott, how many months, does this conference replace?
Hey, it's easy to say. You can do more business development in 4 days at the VETS conference than you can do in the next 6 months, right? Not only that, it's the quality of the business development opportunities that you're going to have. To your point, we have representatives from over 20 agencies. Let me not forget, we have Wayne Bullock and the whole DHS team, right? HHS, we have Shannon Jackson from the Ostabu, right? Shannon's whole team. From the Department of Energy, we have Ron Pierce and Ron Pierce's team. We also have folks who are in acquisition from each of these agencies.
And we're going to apologize right now. You did what you said you weren't going to do. We listed probably a whole bunch of names. If we left somebody out, we apologize. We're sort of doing this off the cuff.
Absolutely. Shift over. We also have representatives who are, very honestly, very sought after, like yourself. You do a lot of podcasts. You're a really visible part of this community.
Thank
you. We're honored this year to have Jeff Shen, the president of Red Team. Red Team is one of the most sought after companies advocating for opportunities and with a deep, deep knowledge and understanding of CIOSP4, SOUP 6, number of the upcoming acquisitions, right? We've lined up a tremendous number of very high visibility speakers.
Okay, so let's go ahead and, because we want to respect everybody's time. If you don't fully grasp, and this is not marketing gimmicks, right? If you don't fully grasp how valuable VETS is from a conference perspective, you should now. And so again, don't wait to register. This is not marketing. We're going to run out of slots. We're going to, even with a new facility. So below this video, there is a link to register. Make sure you do that sooner than later. And the rest of this discussion, Scott, is going to be preparing, right? You're going to attend the conference. How do you prepare for it? And what do you do while you're there? We're going to shift and talk about these best practices. Conferences are not cheap, right? Conferences, they cost money, and we have to all budget for it, and you have to prepare before you arrive. And so what I would say, Scott, to everyone listening, and this is what we tell our clients as well, right? Everybody tells their clients, whether you're new to the government, it's your first VETS conference, or you've been attending VETS for years, you should prepare. And what I often tell people is there's 5 core objectives, right? You're there to collect market intelligence, right? To be more competitive. You're going to help qualify existing opportunities because those procurement decision makers are on site, right? You've been complaining for months about how nobody will pick up the phone or you can't get through the people you want to talk to. This is the opportunity. You're going to receive, I'm taking your phrase here, Scott, content-rich training. You get to meet with government executives, buyers, and you get to meet with and build relationships with other companies. And so those 5 core objectives, did I miss any? Those are the 5 that I normally throw out.
Good set. I like that.
Okay, so to meet those objectives, what do companies do? Do they create this personal business development plan? What do they do in preparation and during this conference?
So great question, Josh. Like any journey, before you take off on the journey, you what? You get a map. You figure out how to navigate. Okay. Part 1, understand what are you doing? What are you signing up for? Right. That's why it's really critical to spend time on the website and understand what is taking place at this conference. Right.
Yeah.
And Josh, I can tell you from Monday about noon on the 20th of May till about noon on Thursday, there's not a moment where there isn't at least 5 different activities taking place. On Monday afternoon, we have 4 pre-conference sessions, right? Those are jam-packed with general orientation. How do I understand federal contracting? How do I understand the nature of federal contracting and the agency composition? Monday afternoon. Monday afternoon, we also have our member meeting for NVSBC. Tuesday starts off with breakfast. We have general sessions. We also have 2 breakout periods. Sidebar note, that means you probably want to bring somebody else from your company because you can only hit one of those.
Okay? Good point.
If you and I work together as we do, Josh, I would send you to that one and you would send me to this one and we would compare notes. There are receptions on Monday evening, I should have mentioned, and on Tuesday evening. Also during the day, our exhibit hall is open. We went to a beautiful new facility. Many of you are familiar with the Rosen Center in Orlando. What most people probably don't know is that Mr. Rosen is an Army veteran. We're thrilled to have that connection. We've lobbied Mr. Rosen to actually come and join us for a welcome on Tuesday morning. So Tuesday is jam-packed with training sessions, reception Tuesday evening, exhibit hall open all day. As well, we have a new feature, our showcase theater, where we're going to have 30-minute sessions. It's Wednesday, also jam-packed. We have 4 sets of breakout sessions on Thursday, and then another reception Wednesday evening. On Thursday, from 9 to 11:30, we have what we call our master classes. And you teach one of those, so you know all about those. Back to your question. How do you prepare? Understand that navigation. Understand and plan what you are attending, right? Are you GSA centric? Great. Are you going for VETS2 opportunities? Okay. Then you probably want to visit with the GSA folks on the exhibit floor, talk to them about that. Are you a GSA mass holder? Are you a VA VETS2 holder, GSA VETS2 holder? Are you a VA vector holder, prime subcontract? Great. Talk to those people.
The audience you just spoke to, with some of the larger VA contracts, likely more established firms, right?
Yep.
More established government contractors. If you are only been in this market for a couple of years, or you're new, or you don't have any of these contract vehicles,
Yep.
But you have a pretty good idea who buys what you sell, then what do you do before you get on site? How do you prepare for that?
That's my favorite question. Thank you, Josh. All
Okay.
right. So among the training, we have designed 3 tracks. Track 1 is targeting. What do I target? How do I target? I mean, literally, how do I target? I mean, the federal government is the world's only $1 trillion a year marketplace.
It's Fortune
Oh,
1. It's Fortune 1. It's the largest in the world.
Thank you. It's absolutely incomprehensible. The VA, as one agency, is bigger than every state government other than two, California and New York. Each of these agencies is massive. Point one. Track one sessions are all about how do I figure out how to target. That's directly focused on the audience you're talking about.
That's awesome. Okay.
Right? It's, hey, I just left service. I'm getting into this business. Hey, I've been in service for a year. I got one contract with 4 buddies, from a CO that I knew when I was in service. However you got into this business, that's great. Many folks, forgive me, I'll use the phrase, stumble into federal contracting. They get one contract.
Right.
Tunnel vision. Okay. The purpose in this conference is open the ocula, right? We'll tell you, we'll provide sessions on all these other agencies you've only heard of, all these other disciplines. For instance, how do you even get into this huge, what is it called? AI, artificial intelligence. Supposedly in 10 years, it's going to be driving our cars and doing everything. Okay. Well, guess what?
That scares the hell out of me. But anyway, yes.
Exactly. Okay. The technologies you're talking about. Track 1, where do I target? Track 2, what are the internal investments I have to make to do better on these upcoming self-assessment scoring sheets for the next Polaris, the next Oasis 2, the next contract that's coming up?
Yeah.
It requires ISO certification, CMMI, CMMC, right, which is coming about. Okay. Yeah, I got to have teaming, past performance. Right. How do I do that? Track 2 sessions, all about how you invest in your company. Track 3 sessions. How do I then look at outside partnerships, joint venture, mentor proteges? So in a nutshell, how you prepare is understanding navigation. What's this conference all about? 2, thinking about where are you most interested in learning? What are you most interested in learning? And where are those sessions taking place? We have tons of room. Right?
So to reiterate something you said, and I want to make it very clear for our listeners, it doesn't matter what level you're at in your business, whether you're new to government or you're a $50 million company, right, with government contracts. We've got different tracks. And by the way, anybody can attend all 3 tracks, but we are giving the content-rich training, networking, and support that pretty much any company needs at any level. Is that correct?
Totally right. And I'll say it this way. There are 47,000 firms that register in SAMs, in SAM registration, as a veteran-owned small business that's eligible to work in the federal government. I wish all 47,000 could come to our event. That'd be a really big event.
That'd be huge.
We're not serving 47,000, candidly, right? We're serving, and we built an event for the 2,000 folks who come, who are vitally interested in figuring out, how do I advance my small veteran-owned business? Because that's a question we get all the time. Hey, this looks like really good content, but I'll bet you only let veterans in. Nope, there is none of that. Okay, and in fact, one of the most important things, and you and your partner Mike did a podcast a couple of weeks ago with the executive director, and the funny part of that is that was done just before the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, was signed on the 22nd of December. Right? What difference does that make? Well, a lot of difference, right? The veteran set aside, from the time it was established, I think 2008, if I'm not mistaken, has been 3%. And NVSBC has led the charge to get that increase to 5%. We were successful. So the point I'm making is there's no time like this year and next year to partner with veterans. All right. Veteran-owned businesses are very, very sought after because we moved the goalpost, as Shannon Jackson and Katrina Brisbane said from our stage at the DC dinner meeting last month. They were hell-bent to get the 3%. Then we moved the goalpost to 5%. Okay, they're going to make it. I know Shannon's going to make it. Okay. And I know HHS is going to make that goal. But the point at the conference is, right, this is a great opportunity to team with veterans and a great time to team with veteran-owned small businesses.
Yeah, and to reiterate, you do not have to be veteran-owned. You don't have to be veteran small business or service-disabled small business to attend this event. The market intelligence is still market intelligence. The opportunity intelligence is still opportunity intelligence. The companies that are attending, they don't just go after veteran, contracts. They go after small business and 8A and woman-owned and full and open. So I'm glad you made that clear, that you don't have to be veteran to attend, even though most are veteran, but we do have some that aren't veteran and they get a lot of value from the conference.
Yeah, I failed to mention one of the greatest parts of our conference is the Pitch to Win competition run by Gloria Larkin of Target Gov. This is a wonderful event. And one of the first things that they will tell you is don't lead with, hey, I'm a veteran-owned company. Why? Because that is icing on the cake. Talk about your cake. We're a small business, well qualified in supply chain and software development, and talk about your competencies. Talk about why you are the best.
Okay, so before we close up with the final recommendations, hey, if you're going to attend, this is what you should be doing before you ever get on site. I do want to mention one thing, because this is not unique to VETS, Scott, but I think you'll agree, every conference that does speed dating, that's what I call matchmaking. Every conference that does speed dating, right? And we've got the VETS conference has Vet Fed Match, right?
Correct.
That is going to be doing this. I want to throw a couple things out there, because if you're not aware of this, you're going to be frustrated. We've got 3.5 hours of matchmaking on the calendar. You got 2 hours Monday, you got 1.5 hours Tuesday. Those may change, but right now that's what's drafted. And so you're talking 3 to 4 hours. If you wait to register until you get on site, I guarantee the slots are going to be filled.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and this is something that, I think should really be put out everywhere. You need to know when registration's open. You need to know who you're going to want to meet with and register early. And when I say register early, when you get the email that says Vet Fed Match is open, 30 minutes, first 30 minutes, first 60 minutes, get in. The average government executive, they're only going to take maybe a half a dozen, maybe 10 during that time, and there's 2,000 attendees. So I just wanted to reiterate, Scott, if you're attending, you plan to attend, and you want some one-on-one time, make sure you register early. And another point, if the people you want to meet with are not available, that doesn't mean you can't stop them in the exhibit hall. It doesn't mean you can't stop them after their panel on Wednesday afternoon or whenever it is. And so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Information on that will be going out in mid-April. Why mid-April? That's a month away. Well, we're still registering folks, right? And in fact, right, the next 30 days is our heavy registration period. We expect probably 2/3 of our total registrations to occur in the next 30 days. That's going to be a big rush. So around the middle of April, we'll be sending information out to solicit buyers, and that'll be from government agencies and large primes, and suppliers. And the suppliers are you, veteran small businesses, with those folks who have very specific opportunities. So that's an important part of this event.
Gotcha. All right, some final recommendations. Scott, let's do this. I'm going to run down my list of recommendations and then run down your list, if add to mine, and then we're going to close up. And these recommendations are not, they're really applicable to small business, but they're just as applicable to the mid-size and the larges. And so I'm gonna rapid fire several recommendations that folks need to do. One, you're spending a lot of money. going to a conference, whether it's just you, although as Scott said, you always want 2 people at a conference, but regardless of how many, you should have at least 2 meetings scheduled before you ever get on site. And some people go, well, how do I do that? Look at the exhibit list, see who's exhibiting. Who do you want to partner with? Reach out to them, right?
Yep.
And say, hey, I'm going to be at VETS as well. Can we have breakfast Monday morning? Can we have breakfast Wednesday morning?
Absolutely.
If there's an OSDBU or a senior procurement, procurement decision maker, reach out to them. Reach out. The worst they can say is no. But bottom line, you want 2 meetings scheduled before you ever get on site. And I have found, Scott, that companies that don't do that rarely get the value that they expect to get from the conference. Because to do those 2 meetings, you got to prepare. You mentioned the pitch competition, right? Target Gov is putting on their annual pitch competition. It's really good. Whether or not you attend that, or you should, even before the conference, have your sales pitch. You should have a 45-second pitch, right? This is who we are. This is the value we provide, our proof with our past performance, and how we differentiate, right? You already walked through that. When it comes to the exhibit hall, I will say this to everyone. You should plan on spending an afternoon in the exhibit hall. It is not, and going through the exhibit hall is not I'm going to walk through, see what's around, but I'm really just here for the training sessions. You will get more potential teaming partners for the next 12 months out of that exhibit hall than it would take you hundreds of calls. So plan on spending an entire afternoon, and don't just walk around, have a plan. And it's not hard because the exhibit floor is on the website, right? It's right. You can see exactly who's exhibiting, and you can identify. A lot of companies will, print that out, and they'll circle booth numbers and go, these are the ones I need to absolutely hit. I want to circle these booth numbers in the color blue, a blue pen, because those are government folks I want to talk to. I'm going to circle these in red. These are other companies that I may want to team with, right? The exhibit hall is not just, there are no competitors. This is my opinion. There's just potential partners.
Absolutely.
Business cards, minimum of 100. If you walk away from this conference, you should have a stack of 100 cards. It doesn't mean all of them are going to provide value, right? But you should be taking notes on them, right? People sometimes just collect the card. They don't write on it. Follow up. I ask everyone, what agencies do you currently support? What agencies do you currently have contracts with? I'll write on the card, VA, GSA, HUD, etc. Right? And make notes on why I'm going to follow up. And then my final point, and I'm going to throw it back over the fence to you, is breakout sessions. You should know every breakout session, every pre-conference session, every master workshop, master session on Thursday, you're planning on attending before you get on a plane, because that ensures you're properly planning. So some recommendations that I hope companies will consider as they are preparing for the conference. What did I miss?
Josh, that is a fantastic review, particularly coming from somebody that does a heck of a lot of conferences. I think the key thing that you're saying is this is your number one marketing opportunity of the year, right? When we came up with this catchphrase, we're talking about your business, be a part of the conversation. This is a BD nirvana. I don't know what you want to call it, right? I'm not going to say it's shooting fish in a barrel, right? But I will say you genuinely don't have the opportunity to meet with this many people in one place over a period of time during breakfast, lunch, dinner, down the street at the Blue Martini, whatever. There's a whole bunch of opportunities. I don't know where else that happens. In fact, I know it doesn't happen anywhere else. That's why NVSBC creates this annual event. The key point here is no other organization has gone to the effort to put together and I will defend this statement, a very cost-effective way for you to do your marketing. Yes, as Josh says, you got to make an investment. You got to fly there, drive there, whatever. Plan as much as you can, because this is your number one opportunity to build your business. That's what we're all about.
So, Scott, we didn't kill each other. I was concerned about that on this fireside chat. It was an absolute pleasure. I want to thank you. VET has become, and I'll go ahead and give the close. VETS has become the most valuable government conference in the country when it comes to veteran business. Don't wait to register. It's not a marketing gimmick. We turned away, you said 400 last year. It's why we moved to a larger facility. Don't wait to the last minute. And a link to the registration is below this video. We'll see everyone at VETS.